The wind howled like a living thing, whipping snow into their faces, cutting through every layer of clothing with icy fingers. A woman stumbled, one leg dragging as she struggled to keep moving through the blinding blizzard. Soldiers passing by murmured pitying words, shaking their heads, thinking she was hopeless, thinking she couldn't survive the storm. But then he appeared, a Navy SEAL, calm and steady in the chaos, his eyes locked on her. He reached out, his voice firm over the raging wind. "Ride with me, before I tell you what happened next. Tell me in the comments where you rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening." She froze at first, disbelief clouding her eyes. Who was this man to offer help? Who had the courage, or the care, to step into the storm for someone others had dismissed? Yet the sincerity in his eyes, the quiet authority of his tone, told her that this was no gesture of pity. It was protection, guidance, and strength, an unspoken promise that she wouldn't have to face the blizzard alone. The soldiers who had just mocked her hesitated, their voices swallowed by the wind. They watched as the SEAL crouched low, extending a hand, guiding her to the snowmobile waiting nearby. The engine roared to life, a defiant sound against the howl of the storm. He helped her settle, adjusting her balance with care, his calm presence a stark contrast to the violent weather around them. She thought she'd never be able to move through the storm alone again. She was wrong. The ride began, the snowmobile cutting through the thick, frozen air. The woman gripped the SEAL tightly, her heart racing not just from the cold, but from the surreal reality of being rescued, of someone refusing to abandon her. Every gust threatened to throw them off course, every snowdrift a reminder of the storm's merciless power. Yet he moved with precision, instinct, and experience, navigating the terrain as if the blizzard were merely another obstacle he was trained to conquer. The sound of cracking ice and the distant roar of avalanches added tension, the landscape turning surreal, almost dreamlike in its danger. The woman's mind raced, doubts creeping in. Could she truly survive this? Could anyone? And yet the SEAL's quiet competence reassured her. His every movement, every shift of his body was a masterclass in control under pressure. He thought of her safety above all else, ignoring the chill, the biting wind, and the fear that gripped those around them. Other soldiers had started to follow, some to help, some to witness. Murmurs of astonishment spread among them. "Did you see that?" one whispered. He didn't hesitate, not for a second. Another shook his head, silently acknowledging that bravery often came from the unlikeliest places. The SEAL's actions weren't about recognition, they were about duty, compassion, and courage. The climax came when a sudden gust threatened to tip the snowmobile into a hidden crevasse. Instinctively, the SEAL leaned, adjusted, and accelerated, his hands steady on the controls. The vehicle skidded over uneven ground, narrowly missing disaster. Snow sprayed around them, blinding and cutting, yet he kept them safe. The woman clutched him tighter, feeling both terror and relief, realizing that trust had become their only anchor in the chaos. Moments stretched like hours, but eventually, the storm's fury began to wane. Visibility improved slightly, and the treacherous landscape gave way to flatter ground. The SEAL slowed, bringing the vehicle to a safe stop. Exhausted, shivering, and amazed, the woman looked up at him. For the first time, she could see beyond the mask of authority, entraining to the human being beneath the man who had refused to abandon her when everyone else had written her off. The other soldiers approached, awe and respect replacing the earlier pity. Eyes that had once judged now shone with admiration. Whispers turned to quiet applause, the recognition of courage and selflessness spreading across the group. The SEAL simply nodded, his eyes already scanning the horizon for the next danger, the next task. He didn't seek thanks. He had done what was necessary. Yes. True courage doesn't ask for recognition. It acts decisively, with compassion, in moments when others doubt, hesitate, or fail to see the value in saving a life. The woman finally spoke, her voice trembling with gratitude. "Thank you. I thought no one would help me." He smiled faintly, a mixture of humility and resolve. "Everyone deserves a chance," he replied simply. In those few words, the storm seemed to lose its power, and the world felt for a fleeting moment safe again. As they moved forward together, the lesson lingered. Judgment and pity often fail where courage and empathy succeed. It's not the number of legs, the strength of the body, or the whispers of doubt that define survival. It's the willingness of one person to act when it matters most. The story would be retold around fires in barracks and among friends, of a Navy SEAL who refused to let the storm and the assumptions of others define a woman's fate. A tale of heroism, quiet but undeniable, fierce yet compassionate, proving that sometimes saving a life is the bravest act of all. If this story inspired you to act with courage, empathy, and determination, share it with someone who needs hope today. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories of quiet heroes who rise when the world expects them to falter.